In 2022, several U.S. companies, including Olive Garden, Wendy's, and Chick-fil-A, began adding an ingredient to some of their food items. The ingredient was relatively expensive, bland, unnecessary, and lost them sales. Why did they do it? Once again, in 2022, several U.S. companies, including Olive Garden, Wendy's, and Chick-fil-A, began adding an ingredient to some of their food items. This ingredient was relatively expensive, it's bland, unnecessary, and lost them sales. Why did they do it?
I have seen this news story and have to sit out. Lizzy,
Ooh.
Bob,
I have a thought. So sometimes with namings of foods, you've got to be careful. You can't call a food a certain type of food if it doesn't have a percentage. Like, for example, sausages, if they aren't a percentage pork, a certain percentage pork, you just call them like meat sausages.
Bangers, I believe they're called in Britain. Like, a banger is not a protected term. If you see something being sold as a banger, it does not have that much actual meat in it.
So if it was like a chicken nugget that you're like, well, this hasn't got enough chicken in, guys, to call these chicken nuggets. We've got to up the percentage of like chicken. But that, I mean,
You were on the path of like, this is to get around, something, a little bit of a manipulation or a tactic.
ooh, is it? Okay, second thing, scrap that thing. So is it to call something like fresh? It's got to have like a bit of freshness in there. So that are they like, well, we'll add this fresh ingredient to it so we can call the whole thing fresh, even though it might not be fresh. Is this?
I was thinking of something along the lines of like some like marketing ploy, like, somehow like if you try to say like something like, to your point, this is much fresher, and your brain's like, oh, they said it's fresher. I taste something that's different, even though maybe they really didn't change it. That may have caused you to stop going to that establishment and not buying the food. So, because they mentioned Olive Garden, Wendy's, and Chick-fil-A specifically. Now, I know Chick-fil-A is known for their chicken. Wendy's also sells chicken. Olive Garden, pasta and breadsticks. Yes, they have chicken, but they also maybe have salads and greens and lettuce or something. Ooh. And lettuce is bland. But they said they added an ingredient that has no taste. It's unnecessary. If this was like bagged food, I would say you just add air. It's like, oh yes, it's unnecessary. You get 50% less crisps in there, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm not going to buy this no more because I'm getting ripped off. I felt like they were getting ripped off for some reason. Maybe the prices went up and they lost sales because of that.
Yeah. Also, air is traditionally free as an ingredient.
Right, I forgot.
Yeah, but they'd sell it to us if they could.
They would.
Yeah.
Like in Spaceballs.
Karen, just to check here that I'm on the right lines when I say I know this one. Like, it's not that the ingredient itself has absolutely no taste. It's just you wouldn't be able to taste the difference, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would agree. The ingredient, I wouldn't say bland. It definitely tastes like something, but I think it's trying to say that you're not adding this ingredient for its taste or for its flavor.
Oh, is it like when they added to bread like iron and stuff, so it was like healthier? Is it like an added mineral? Oh my God, is it like actual iron? I think it's iron.
It is not an added mineral, but that is one of the clues, is that some bread manufacturers also adopted and made this change.
Also, when you say, is it actual iron? Like, you can extract the iron from cornflakes if you do it right.
I have seen this.
If you mush up cornflakes, put them in water, like just create a slurry that stuff can move around in, and you use a powerful magnet, for some brands of like fortified cereals, you can actually pull the iron out of the cereal.
No! Okay, hold on. Let me put this on my to-do list.
Buy bulks of cereal and just blend it all together. Make a smoothie out of it.
It's your standard kids science experiment that you can do with a box of cornflakes and a magnet.
See, this is driving me crazy because I have eaten at all these establishments, but like only like not recently, and it's 2022. So I feel like I should have. I feel like this is such an American thing to do here, and it just screws over a lot of people. Lost sales.
They lost sales, so it probably made it taste worse. In the same way that like chips if they're made from like real potato, taste one way, but there's a way to make them more delicious. And that is like my favorite sausage. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say my favorite sausage, but I like it. I like a Richmond. I'll say it. And Richmond are quite low pork percentage. I don't know why I'm hooked on sausages, but it tastes good to me. And actually some of the posher sausages with more pork, I'm a bit like, ugh.
The poshages. Oh, that didn't work. I was sure that was going to work as a portmanteau, and then it just didn't.
Poshages.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
I will say one thing that I find unnecessary with some foods, like when I order a sandwich from a local sandwich shop and they say, hey, do you want to add salt to this sandwich? I go, doesn't the meats have salt already? Why would I add more salt to a sandwich? So I wonder if there's something along those, like, is it something like salt that they're adding to it to make it, like, it's just so unnecessary for it?
There's no culinary advantages or disadvantages. Like the taste, there's nothing to do with flavor or taste.
You were talking about workarounds and like ways to deal with regulations. I'd stick with that.
Oh, okay. Are they like adding some, like you cut for something to be a cake? It's got to be like sweet. So are they like, we don't have bread here, we just have cakes either side of our burgers because like the sugar content's so high.
I mean, that was Subway in Ireland, wasn't it? They got ruled that their bread was actually cake or something like it. Subway in Ireland, I think, had a ruling from the court they could not call their bread because the sugar content was too high.
I remember that.
Wow. I just learned recently that Americans, we're famous for sugar in our bread. that is people complain about, and I was like, I had no idea.
We're also getting foot-long cookies from Subway soon. That is the most American thing I have ever heard.
That sounds great. Yeah. I want to go.
And Bob, you talked about having eaten at all of these places. What's something that Wendy's and Chick-fil-A have in common, and maybe some bread manufacturers have in common? Describe what you would eat at Chick-fil-A.
You would have a sandwich bun, hamburger, chicken sandwich, salads. You have salads there.
Think about what kind of laws and regulations that food manufacturers and restaurants now have to be more conscious of and more aware of.
Is that the calorie counts of foods?
Or allergens?
Allergens.
Oh, have they put peanuts in everything? So you can't, no, wait, the opposite.
Lizzy, keep going down.
Okay. If they put allergens in everything, a certain allergen in everything, then they don't have to try and regulate avoiding it, right? So they'll just be like, oh, all of these have sulfites in. So so we're not going to say they don't. And you don't have to mitigate against whether they actually do.
And what would be the allergen?
Oh my God. Is it peanuts?
Hamburger buns was the one you nearly got there, Bob.
Hamburger. Oh, seeds, sesame seeds, poppy seeds.
Sesame seeds. I remember this news story because a friend of mine is just incredibly angry about it. They just started adding sesame into all sorts of products because, am I right, Karen, that like the threshold for it changed or something like that? They had to declare it more carefully or something like that. And the response was not, oh, we'll be more careful with our products. It was, okay, we'll just put sesame in everything. It's marked up as an allergen now. Enjoy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so 1.6 million people in the U.S. are allergic to sesame. And so the U.S. government passed a law stating that products containing sesame have to be clearly labeled. And that products not containing sesame would have to be carefully prepared without contamination.
Oh.
Rather than avoiding contamination, which is difficult and expensive, restaurants and places just choose to add sesame to almost everything, to sesame-free products, and then just mark them as contain sesame to avoid cooking and preparing separately.
And I've seen that exact wording now. Now that you mention it, I've seen that exact. Dang it. Wow.